Okay, my name is Misael Corvera, and I am the project lead for Project Athena, Log and Infrastructure Monitoring. Our sponsor is Commonwealth Casualty Company, and our faculty advisor is Dr. Son. My team members are Wang, Chengyu, Jateni Dida, and Horejsi. I'll leave you with Jateni Dida, who's going to give us a little bit of background on the project now.
Thank you, Misael. So for the next couple of minutes, I'll be going over the company overview, the project overview, and the requirements we had for this project. So our sponsor, Commonwealth Casualty Company, was founded in 2010 by a group of Cal State LA alumni and other partners with a commitment to provide affordable insurance for everyone. With a small team, the company developed its own software applications for policy management, reporting, rating, direct sales, and customer service. The company depends on the systems and applications that are developed and maintained by a small internal team of software engineers. Next slide, please. So the goal of Project Athena is to provide system health monitoring, notification, and log analysis. Currently, the majority of the company's infrastructure resides on AWS. Log searching and reports can simplify the debugging process. Production EC2 servers and other AWS services make it difficult to monitor overall system health and task executions. There are AWS CloudWatch alarms and notifications that can alert the system, the IT staff of any issues, but they don't provide much insight outside of the server metrics. With Project Athena, we will provide a notification engine that can help the IT team address any critical system issues as soon as they occur. Next slide, please. So when building this project, we had four core requirements in mind. The first one was a user interface to provide drill-down features that are easy to navigate. Generic models to allow consumption of different data sources, searching and filtering mechanisms for collected data and logs. The last one was a login mechanism for secure access to dashboard. For the next presentation, I will pass it to Yi.
I'm going to explain the whole system architecture to you. In order to collect the data, we're going to collect those data from the couple AWS services such as EC2, virtual machines on the cloud, and RDS, which is a virtual database on the cloud, and the Lambda function as a serverless function that's triggered by events automatically, and also the others, the application that will be logging their data. And everything, those data will be collected into the AWS CloudWatch, which is the major focus of this project. They're going to collect all those data information, and the front end will collect it to display the matrix data and the log data into a dashboard. But in order to do this, the front end is going to get the user configuration data from the database through the backend to know what kind of data, what kind of matrix they will need to be collected. Once they got the data, so they display the data into the graph and the log tables. Also, there's a Lambda functions, which is going to monitoring the CloudWatch to see is anything events being triggered, such as like matrix data, CPU usage over like 90% or something kind of red flags that being used being set it inside the RDS, inside the database. Once the flag is being triggered, they find it, they're gonna activate it, the AWS short message notification service, and to set the message to the users. And next, there was a front end. Our front end is pretty complex by itself. It does quite a lot of things. For most part, it is the user interface, what the user gonna see directly and the user gonna interact with. And also it's gonna show you a list of the graphs, and also it will let you to do the log search. Once the user is being authenticated, it will generate a dashboard that will show you the list of the graph and also a list of alarms that show you the status of the service it's been running on. And also there's a full screen mode that can be used to see in the conferences mode. Once on the dashboard, you can click on the menu. They will give you a list of functions, such as adding the graphs, give you to searching the logs, and also adding alarms, matrix alarm or log alarms. Most of these functions are going to get this data directly from the CloudWatch, except maybe the log alarms, which it's also because the user configured the keywords that will be stored in the database. And then I will let Alex to explain you the backend.
The backend is primarily responsible for manipulating information on the database. Whenever a user logs in or logs out, we need to go through the database and make sure and authenticate their information. Any metric alarms that the user is tracking, so any metrics from any AWS services that they're tracking, the database also keeps track of which users are subscribed to which metric alarms. Same with log alarms. In the case of log alarms, also all the criteria that trigger the log alarm is also stored in the database. So anything regarding log levels and keywords to search for are also stored there. And the user's dashboard for any graphs that they make for the front end, that is stored as a JSON string on the database. Okay, next slide, please. As for our Lambda function, it is responsible for monitoring CloudWatch logs and any logs that are sent to CloudWatch. Whenever it receives any logs, it will query any log alarm information from the database that corresponds to the log group where the given logs were sent. If any of the given logs that are currently being processed match the criteria of a given log alarm, a message will be sent to specified SNS topics by users. And now I'll hand it off to Zach to begin the live demo.
Thank you, Alex. So here's our login page for the senior design project. The user is able to log in by entering the username and password, and these values will be compared with the credentials from the database to authenticate the user. We don't have the option of signing up here because this application will be only private to the employees within our Liaisons company. Right now, let's log in. As we log into the main dashboard, we can see two things. One, on top of the dashboard is the system health bar, and also a couple of graphs that we created ahead of time. The system health bar is where we keep track of the status of all the resources within the 24-hour period. It has several features. The first two, as you can see here, are the numbers of errors and warnings from the log that are retrieved from the AWS CloudWatch logs using the SDK. And let's say, as we click on any of them, let's say we click on the log errors, it will show the log group names that have fields containing the keyword error. And then as we click on each log group names, it will display more detailed information about that specific log group. And the same thing applies to log warnings as well. And we also have a feature called EC2 status, where we are keeping track of the available EC2 instances, which are the virtual server in Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, and check if they are running properly. If any of the server is down, it will show up immediately on the health bar. And as we click on it, it will show the available EC2 instances as well as their status. And we can also click on show tags to show the key and value pair that is attached to that EC2 server. We also implemented a menu bar. As we click on the hamburger menu icon here, it will pop up. The user has several options here. For example, they can create graphs when they click on the charts option. They can view and search logs when they click on the log option. And they can also set up their notification settings when they click on the alarm option. Let's try with the charts option. As you can see, it supports 3 different graph types, which are bar, line, and mixed. Let's click on line graph, please. A form, as you can see, a form will pop up. It requires several needed information in order to generate a new graph. For the graph, we allow both static or real time. And the user can configure this by clicking on the switch, which sits on top of the form. And right now, we'll just go with a real-time graph. And the next field is the namespace. The namespace is basically a container for CloudWatch metrics. For example, if the metrics you want to display belongs to EC2, then the namespace will be AWS/EC2. The next field is the chart name, which is the name you want to give to the graph. The dimension, the metrics name here is the name of metrics where it represents a time-ordered set of data points that are published to CloudWatch. And right here, we are going with a CPU utilization. And the dimension here is the metrics metadata in the form of a name and value pair. It is useful for filtering metrics data as well as aggregating statistics. After the user entered the dimension name, they are also required to select an x-axis time range to indicate how far back they want the graph to start with, which right here we choose the last 15 minutes. And the refresh rate is basically how frequent they want the graph to refresh itself. And we'll go with the 3 seconds. Lastly, the user is also able to select the graph color based on their own preferences. And after they enter everything, when they click on create graph, a new graph will be generated, as you can see here. And the user is able to, since it's a line graph, they are able to fill the color underneath the curve. They can also resize the graph. And they can also modify or delete the graph. Let's say we want to modify this graph to the color of green. Right now the graph turns green. And they can also delete the new graph that they created. Okay, and that graph is removed from the dashboard. And besides from that, the user is also able to move the graphs around based on their own preferences, and the coordinates of those graphs will be saved into database once they log out of the dashboard. And next time when it logs back in, the dashboard will retrieve those coordinates from the database, and it will display those graphs in the same manner as before. For the next presentation, I will leave to Misael to talk about logs.
All right, thank you, Sai. Another important feature for our dashboard is the capability of searching logs. If we go to the menu side and we look under logs, we can see log search. When we click on that, the user will be prompted with a form. The first thing that the user has to input is keywords. These will be the keywords that they want to be looking inside the log messages. In this case, I'm going to be looking for the keyword error. They also have the ability to filter by log group names. If we click on this, it will display all the available log group names on the CloudWatch. In this case, I'm just going to select one log group name. They also have the option to filter by time. They can do it by 1 hour, 6 hours, 1 day, 1 week, or they can even customize it. I'm just going to leave the default and click on search. Once we do that, we're taken to the search result page. The first thing that the user will see is the filter search bar that contains the current search. They can use that to modify the current search, or they can even do a new search from right here. Beneath that, we can see a table that contains the amount of logs that were found on a specific log name. In this case, we specified the CCC test. Once we click on that, we're taken to a different component that contains the messages and the timestamp. If we want to see more information about that specific log, then we click on the message. Then we're taken to another component that contains more information about that specific log. Not only that, but it also contains previous logs and logs after that the developer team can use to debug their applications faster. If we go back to the menu, under alarms, we can see that we have 2 different types of alarms, metric alarms and log alarms. If we click on metric alarms, we're taken to the metric alarm page. This is basically just an extension of the CloudWatch alarm metrics. On my alarms, we can see that we have 2 different alarms right now. Those are the alarms that I am following or that I want to have a quick access to them. If I click on the tab existing alarms, I'm taken to a component that contains all the alarms that have been created on the CloudWatch. If I want to follow one of them or add it to my alarms, I just click on follow. And then I get a message saying that it was successfully. Going back to my alarms, we have the option to see more information about it. Not only that, but we can also attach new SNS topics to that specific alarm in order to get notifications. But if we have a SNS topic that we want, we can just attach an endpoint or even delete that specific SNS topic. Moving to the next type of alarm, the log alarms. This UI is similar to the metric alarms, but it contains 3 different tabs: My Alarms, Existing Alarms, and Create New Alarms. This is because this one works alongside the database that we created and the Lambda function to send notifications to the users. My Alarms contains the alarms that the user is currently subscribed to. Existing Alarms has all the alarms that all the users have created. Therefore, I can subscribe to any other one. And Create New Alarm will display a form that the user can use to create new alarms. In this case, we're gonna do one called Live Demo Test. After the alarm name, the user needs to specify the filter pattern. In this case, they can choose comparison signs. We're gonna use the equal, and then they have to choose the log level. I'm gonna do error for this one. The keyword is optional. If they decided to input keywords, they can input as many as they want, and then they have to choose the keyword relationship, meaning that they can specify whether they want all those keywords to appear on the log message or any of the keywords. In this case, I'm just gonna use one keyword, null pointer exception, and I'm gonna specify all because it's just one. After that, we have the option to select the log names that we wanna get specific messages from, or we can just select all. I'm just gonna choose one, the CCC test. And finally, the user is required to input a SNS topic in order to get the notifications. I'm gonna use my, and once I do that, I can see that it will display a table containing all the endpoints on that specific SNS. We have the option to remove the endpoints, or we can even attach a new endpoint if we don't have the email that we prefer. So we just click on unsubscription. Then we choose the protocol. We can choose email, HTTP, text messages, or even Lambda functions. We enter the value, and then we attach the endpoint. Or we can just simply remove another endpoint that is existing right here. Click on remove, and that endpoint is gone. Once all the values have been filled, we can click on create subscription. And then we get a message that was successfully created. If we move back to my alarms, we can see that the alarm is now right here. In order to test that, we created an endpoint. That will send logs to our CloudWatch. In this case, we're using Java error. Once I do that, this will send a new log error to our CloudWatch that will then activate the Lambda function. And once that's done, the Lambda function will process that information and determine which SNS they have to send the specific message. Since I was subscribed to that, then now I should get a new message from AWS, which is right here, the notification. This email will contain the log group that the log was found, the log stream, and more information about that specific log. In this case, level equal error, which is what we specify. And inside the message, we had the keyword null pointer exception. Going back to the dashboard, the user can also unsubscribe to that specific alarm. If we unsubscribe, that alarm will be removed from my alarms, but it will still exist inside existing alarms. This is so that other users can subscribe to that and use that specific alarm. Only after there are no more users subscribe to that alarm, we can click on delete, and that alarm will be completely deleted from the dashboard and from our database. And that will conclude our presentation. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
So any questions, especially from Mahan?
No, it looks good. I was just about to say a few words. I wanted to congratulate the team on a job well done. You know, with the requirements that we had originally come up with, and the you know, all the events that happened in the basically the latter half of the time that you guys were working on this. I think you guys did an excellent job in basically coming up with what what I had envisioned for this to look like. I know. I didn't even give you guys the basic idea of storyboard the UI for you guys. So the UI that you guys came up with is, at least from my point of view, exceptional. I mean, it's usable. I can actually deploy this right now in our environment and start using it and see how it works with the logs we have, and start adding the extra features that we need with the future stuff that we had talked about that was related to dealing with actual logs that are not specified directly in AWS, but in our log servers and things like that. So overall, I think you guys did a great job, and this is something that we can deploy right now on our site to see how we can start using it, especially the log search functionality and being able to bring logs from before and after a specific event that happened. That's a huge time saver for us, because right now we have to go and tweak time fields and go back and forth in a log of hundreds of things that are happening to figure out what happened before or after a log event. So good job. And Dr. San, thank you for overseeing the team and making sure that it uses the right stack and technologies that we are hoping to put on the rest of our applications here at CCC. So we're moving towards the type of stack that you guys used for this with most of our other applications now. And we obviously have the burden of technical debt of all the stuff that we've built over the years that we need to move. But you guys have built what we had wanted to build with the stack that we are moving towards, and that's impressive. So good job, kudos, and hoping we can continue working on some of this stuff moving forward.
Thank you.
Raj, you are muted.
Oh, Mahan, that was a sentence that I was trying to get from you from the last sentence. We are hoping for more collaborations from you or any partners.
Yes, I mean, this was the first time we did this, and I think it was a loud success. So we're going to continue working with Capstone LA for sure, and hopefully with some of the team members that we did this project with. So I'm looking forward to both of those avenues continuing.
Yeah.
So
you have a group of students that you can hire from, and then you have a group of students that you can potentially look forward to next year. Exactly.
Those are the two avenues that have created from this one endeavor. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
We're already building the projects for next year. So maybe if you have any ideas, then send it to Dr. San, and we can start to build on our project requirement stuff ahead of time.
Will do, for sure. I'll start working on it. And when are you guys collecting those? What's the?
We're doing it now.
Okay, but is there that deadline for it, or?
We want them sooner so that the commitments are all in place.
Okay.
At least so we don't want to go back on some of the projects and so on. So.
Okay. I'll start working on my end and hopefully have something for you guys by end of May, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, I think after the presentation, we'll also contact Mahan regarding all the deliverables and also any, anything else that you guys will need for deployment, help on any technical things. So, but we can talk about those after the presentation.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Thank you. So see you down the road, Mahan.
What was that, Raj?
See you down the road somewhere.
For sure, yeah. Hopefully in person. Maybe this stuff blows over and we can actually meet again. I really was looking forward to meeting everybody in person for this presentation, but yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So the team lead should be updating the projects page with all the links, right? Deliverables and so on.
Yes, I have done that already.
Okay.
Everything else on CSNS.
And also there's the presentation link too, when you get the.
No, I haven't done that yet. The presentation is not there yet.
Once you get it, you can do it. Okay, good.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
Dr.
Good
San,
job.
can you give me a call after this, Dr. San, or do you have presentations?
One sec.
Yeah, can you give me a call after this, or are you busy?
Yeah, I can call